We're here.
I think after all that, we're finally ready.
Well,
That was what, 3 hours? 4? I don't even know. I mean, an hour of like actually trying to get all this stuff set up, trying to get cameras set up.
yeah.
Welcome to the podcast, our podcast, a podcast, the next podcast. No, probably not that. I don't even know what we're actually even calling this yet. Are we going to call it On the Surface?
On the surface sounds.
I mean, we've floated a couple different names, right?
Yeah.
On the surface,
Beneath the surface.
beneath the surface, or below the surface.
Surface tension.
It's going to be the drama podcast. We'll call it Surface Tension.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully there's less drama and more just fun and enjoyable conversations.
Yeah. Who knows? It might turn into the Caleb and Jensen just talk about their kids podcast.
Maybe. I mean, who knows?
Or Joshua takes over.
Joshua could take over the podcast.
He could.
That would be unshocking, unsurprising, not shocking.
Joshua is our 8-year-old boy who dreams of becoming a YouTuber.
This is true.
He also dreams of becoming a pizza guy on the moon because he wants to deliver pizzas to astronauts and make mooncakes on the moon.
A noble profession idea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we're making his dreams come true.
There you go. We're trying to start a podcast. Well, he doesn't care about podcasts, though. He cares about YouTube.
Yes.
But what if it's a podcast on YouTube?
He might start taking over.
We'll see what happens, but
we'll keep it on the surface for now, and if we decide to change it,
You'll be the first to know. I'll just change it every week. Every week it'll have a new title.
Not gonna lie, I have to be honest. This is weird.
Is it?
Being on this side
of a podcast?
Yeah, it's fun to watch other people talk to each other, talking to no one, but they're talking to someone, but no one because no one's there.
This is true.
And then now I'm sitting here and I'm going, yeah, I'm talking to. It's hard for me to talk to people when they're already here.
It's true.
And then talking to people who are in the room but are not in the room.
They're in the ether of the room. We have to imagine it. But, that's a great point, though, to consider as we talk about this podcast. So today's episode is all about why are we starting a podcast, right? I jokingly said to my dad, I apologize. I will try not to say right. Apparently I say right after everything. So you guys can start a little
he needs confirmation.
Right counter. You can start a right counter and count up how many times I say right in the course of the episode, especially at the end of different sentences. So you can have fun with that. But anyways, today's episode is supposed to be about why are we starting a podcast?
Yes.
There's a million podcasts.
Right.
It's the new... Really? It's the new blog. Back in the day, everybody had a blog. I had a blog when I was in high school. Did you have a blog? Did you have a computer?
No.
Okay, well then we move on. But I feel like everybody has a podcast, so why not start a podcast, right?
Sure.
But I think we actually have more reasons for starting a podcast than just that. Jensen, do you listen to podcasts?
No.
I listen to podcasts.
I listened to Caleb talking about all the podcasts he's listened to or watched.
Jensen prefers not the Cliff Notes, but the Caleb Notes of podcasts.
Whatever he thinks is good enough for me. So.
I come in and I share all the things that I've learned, probably badly, but all the things I'm learning from podcasts. But why are we starting a podcast? Jensen, why are we starting a podcast?
To make money.
This is true. I mean, that's the very oversimplified version of that. But yeah, that is a big part of why we're trying to start a podcast and a YouTube channel and some sort of social media presence.
I think it's just another way for us to explore.
Sure, yeah.
And we figured we're not anything special, but we are different. And I think that there's something about us that we feel like would be interesting to someone who's curious.
Shareable, right?
Shareable, yeah. And we have a
perspective
and a different dynamic in our home that if I think it's cool.
And hopefully other people find interesting along the way.
I think our life is cool and interesting.
Yeah.
We have wonderful friends and interesting people that come through our house, and just we connect with really
interaction opportunities along the way.
r-
Yeah, no, we definitely don't want to try to hide the fact that part of the reason why we're doing podcast, YouTube channel in general, and just trying to start that family vlog or whatever is a financial aspect. But it's not quite as simple as that.
no.
For us, I think we are not just starting it to make money. We're not looking at it with dollar signs in our eyes alone, but more of from the pragmatic sense of we got to do something to make some extra cash, and we're trying to supplement income. We've been trying to look at what options are available to us, and for us, as we've looked at the different options, really what we kind of come to at each juncture is this takes us away from our family more than we want to be taken away. This requires capital that we don't have, right? There's a lot of opportunities where you can use money to make money, but that's the problem. You have to start with some sort of money to begin
Sure.
with, which is a little shorthanded as of right now. But we don't want to be taking away extra from the family more than we already are. We both work. I work full time. You work part time. Thankfully, we work from home quite a bit, which is helpful. But even while we're working from home, we're a lot of times very focused on our work. Our evenings tend to be out with my job, particularly in our involvement in our church. And so really doing the podcast and our vlog, the goal is specifically to make income while doing family things
Yeah.
and while being able to be focused on being a family.
One of the options was to rent out this room, but then we would have to share one bathroom with that one person.
Yeah, we only have
And
one bathroom in
so
our house. We have an extra room
Now
that I
it's
use
a
as my
YouTube
office.
channel.
Yeah, so now it's the studio for our vlog.
Yeah.
If you have
it better pay
decoration
off, I
ideas, let us know.
hope.
But
You don't like this?
well, I mean that is beautiful. Jensen painted that. It's beautiful, but
And your guitar hooks that don't have guitars?
my empty guitar. I sold all my guitars
Yeah.
except for one, and that's currently at the church. So probably should have brought that home to
I don't
hang on
even
the
know
wall.
if they could see it. Can they see it?
It depends on which angle.
They, the people
We'll,
in the ether.
we'll see. Yeah, exactly. The viewers, you viewer.
Okay,
we're talking
question.
about you.
I forgot to ask if I were to talk to that third person in the room, which camera do I look
No,
at?
you're talking to me.
Oh.
We're talking.
So this is even weirder.
No, it's not.
This is weird.
Only if you make it weird.
Yeah, well, I make it weird, so
Okay.
it's weird.
Okay, so we're starting the podcast definitely for financial reasons. These, by the way, are not enumerated in particular order, right? It's not like the financial reason is the number one, but it's a reason. I don't know that we could enumerate them as far as order of importance.
Yeah.
But financial is definitely part of it. We're hoping that eventually, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but eventually we hope that this will grow enough to make some sort of side income with just us spending family time and filming it. Number two is to share perspectives. I think that we have an interesting family, not definitely special in the sense of we're better than anybody, but we're young. We've got 2 kids, 8
We live in
and
Hawaii.
3. We live in Hawaii. You are a music
work-
teacher.
yeah.
I'm a pastor. We have a lot of interactions with various people. And so we're just sharing that perspective. That's really what it comes down to. But then also to be a little more intentional about family time.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm a boring person.
You are.
I like to stay home. I like my house. I like being at my house. I like being comfortable in my house. And I don't get out and do stuff. People get mad at me because you live in Hawaii, but you don't go hiking every day or to the beach all the time or, all these things. I mean, I enjoy those things as much as the next person, but I like staying home.
You're like a homebody.
A homebody.
Mhm.
Yes. So the problem with starting a vlog and that highlights what our family does is our family actually has to do things
Which I'm not complaining about
in order
that.
to film. You can't film sitting around at home doing nothing.
We should try a week of that.
be the most boring episode ever. Oh my goodness, it would be a lot of film footage of Kalena watching other YouTube channels.
But it's like that curiosity of, so what do you do at home all day? It's like, what does the dog do when we're gone? I'm totally down to
That's a
watching
good
that.
question.
I wonder what she
We
does.
did put up a camera.
We did.
We can go back and look at the footage. But the
But
goal
it-
is to be more intentional. All that
Yes.
to say, we're rabbit trailing hard right there. But the goal is to be more intentional about getting out and doing things. I think so far it's gone pretty well.
Yeah, we've had fun.
We've had opportunities to get out
Learning.
and do things that we would maybe have otherwise done as readily it's not like we do nothing, right? We go out and do things.
Right. Hey, we are in how many minutes in? And that's your second one?
Hey, I'm doing great here. We are. I can't see what that says. I
That's
mean, I can
okay.
see what it says. I just don't know how long it says.
We also need eye care.
No, I mean, it says 1 and then 10 and then 48, 49. So I think we're 10 minutes in. I don't know. Anyways, backing up, being more intentional. Okay, we have a couple questions that we're supposed to answer because otherwise we don't know where we're going with this.
Yeah. So, number 4, what topics will we cover in our podcast?
Ooh, well, at the beginning, we're going to cover topics like why are we starting a podcast?
Mhm.
And the next one is supposed to be about who are we? So we're trying not to talk too much about who are we, so we have an episode 2.
All right.
But what are some other topics that we've talked about, or that we've kind of thrown out there as maybe potentially be on the podcast someday?
Yeah, sharing family recipes.
Well, that's
things-
more vlog episodes. But
Oh,
it could
I'm
be.
sorry.
I mean, I guess it could be on the podcast.
That's true. Right now, I'm very confused because I'm so disconnected.
Jensen knows nothing about
Yeah.
podcasts, vlogs. When I was trying to explain
I live
to
in
her
a bubble.
about this idea, when we first started talking about this, and I started sharing this idea, she goes, "How do you make money on YouTube?" Like the idea that people make a living off of just posting videos to YouTube was completely foreign to her. So we started talking about the vlog, and she didn't really know what a vlog was. And she finally connected it with Keeping Up with the Kardashians. How many episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians have you watched, Jensen? None. But yet that was the first thing you thought of as I described a blog.
Yeah, they're so popular.
Famous for being famous, right?
Mhm.
But oh yeah, Jensen knows nothing. I was like, I have no idea how did we get there? But Jensen really knows nothing about podcasts or vlogs or anything. So what kind of episodes are we talking about? And so if she gets confused between this might be on the vlog versus this might be on the podcast, you'll have to forgive her.
So I'm
She's
learning now. I figured it out.
Okay, what
I'm a
did you
quick
figure
study.
out?
This is a podcast.
This is the podcast.
And what we've been doing before has been vlogging.
Sure,
Vlogging.
vlogging.
It sounds like some torture kind of word. Where you
That's
like,
flogging.
yeah, I know, but we're vlogging. It sounds kind of violent.
Hopefully one of these days soon we get used to Jensen turning around and seeing me holding a camera and asking her a random question. We're not there yet, but hopefully.
Without being irritated. And why the heck are you holding? Why are you filming me?
Like we talked about this. Anyways, for the podcast though, a lot of it's just going to be conversation. Us talking about what's on our mind, things that we've been thinking about or discussing between ourselves already, or different ways that we try to live with our family as that intersects with vlog episodes. So you might do vlog episodes about cooking or recipes that you're trying or about how you meal prep or plan for our family. But the podcast will give us opportunity to kind of talk through that more in depth, right?
Mhm.
So how do you plan out your meal schedule for the week? We've been really trying to focus on eating at home, for instance. And so what are you doing to try to make that possible and actually get ahead of the curve? Or the other things that we might talk about is, our kids and what are we learning from our kids? We've got 2 children. And one of the episodes we're planning to do is how are they different? And they are way more different than we thought that they were going to be before the second one was born.
I mean, we knew they were going to be different, but it's night and day different.
It's insane how different they are. Yeah. We might talk about problems that we've run into within our marriage or our family and how we've navigated those. We might, I think we both hope to be fairly vulnerable.
Honest.
Something that we've been learning a lot recently is the value of vulnerability and the value of community and how those two things intersect and how powerful it is in our lives individually and then as a couple. And so trying to discuss just things we're learning together as a couple, fun things we're trying to do or accomplish, or just sharing life updates in general.
Mm-hmm.
So really anything and everything could be a part of the podcast that requires more than just some quick clips or more of like an in-depth conversation.
Yeah. Talking about our emotions, what we're feeling, what we're thinking as we go about life.
Yeah.
And letting y'all know about it because I know you're curious.
Yeah, I mean, we're all curious, right? Who doesn't want to see the inside of a conversation of somebody that you know and just kind of go, oh, what are they thinking? And so we're trying to be real in the process of all this. And even with the YouTube channel, one of the goals is to be real. It's not, I don't have a desire to fake it, to put on a show.
Yeah.
I
Not
mean,
air out dirty laundry for
but
everybody to
yeah,
smell
for
and
sure.
see, but
But to be real in the sense of to show like, hey, life isn't perfect. I wish I had a camera I could show you guys the other side of this room. As bare as this looks, it looks much nicer than the mess that I kind of shoved over there. But life isn't perfect. You know, you'll see inside of our kitchen when we haven't taken all the Amazon boxes out to the trash
we've been collecting that for 3 weeks.
I'm trying to figure out how we turn that into content. I'm thinking maybe like a time lapse video of us breaking down the Amazon boxes or something like that. I don't know. My brain is like, oh, how does this turn into content? I don't know. It might be broken now, but yeah. So a lot of different content as far as the podcast is concerned that would be revolving around a conversation and being real, giving a more inside picture. So maybe on the surface should be called below the surface. Like, hey, here's a little bit behind the scenes. I don't know. We'll see. The name might change 7 more times. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
That one I did on purpose.
Right. Okay, so
I have a question for you.
What's the question?
Who do you foresee possibly listening to this podcast? If you had to pick out a person in your mind as this might be the kind of person that we have listening to our podcast each week, that joins us, that tunes in, etc., etc.
Who would that be? Sisters.
Your sisters? You think they're going to listen?
Maybe.
All of them?
Probably.
What should we give them if they get this far into the first episode and hear this?
A cookie.
We will send you cookies.
You know, the kind.
Those cookies.
Yeah.
That's fairly cryptic. We'll see. We'll see who gets
what
cookies.
I'm talking about.
I think at best 2 of 3. Yeah. And you cannot tell the others. If you're one of Jensen's sisters and you get this far, do not tell the others. You can relish your own cookies and brag about them in 3 weeks.
Who else? Probably a few friends. They might check out because they hear us talk all the time. So maybe not friends. Okay, but friendly strangers.
Friendly strangers. There you go.
Who are curious.
If you had not an ideal person, but if you could paint a picture of the kind of person that you foresee might be interested in something like this, what would it look like? Because you, as much as you say that you don't listen to podcasts, I mean, I turned on a podcast on YouTube the other day in the living room, and you sat there and you were kind of wrapped by it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think lonely people who want to have connection, they don't know how to start. So then just exploring.
I think other couples,
a safe place, exploring in a safe place, not having to, I guess, be, what do you call it? Vulnerable, I guess.
But sure, you can receive without having to give at the beginning, which is always easier. Anytime we have new people over, especially when we bring new people into an existing friend group that we have, it's easier for them to sit and to watch. And the same thing goes in reverse, right? I think probably couples maybe similar in life as us, maybe a few years younger than us, maybe their kids aren't quite the same age as ours, who are trying to figure it out, or maybe feel like they're failing for whatever reason, and hopefully they'll be able to watch some of our content and see, oh, wow, there's people like us out there that maybe have the same struggles, or they're going through the same difficulties, or whose house is just as messy as mine is, right? I think other couples, I think people who are just looking for opportunities to see other ways of living, like we talked about before. People, how do people live in Hawaii? Not that we're the quintessential Hawaii people.
I know.
Like, please don't take us as being representative of the whole state, and especially our island of Oahu. But people who have similar adventures or want to do similar kinds of vacations, I think there. And honestly, beyond that, I don't know who's going to watch. And I think that over time, we're going to find kind of our tribe, so to speak, as far as the online community goes, and hopefully be able to learn what kind of things do they want to see or want to hear about. And I think both of our desire would be to tailor the content to fit, to meet that desire, that need, that niche, if you will, niche.
Niche. Oh my goodness.
Niche. I think it's niche.
I was planning it out in my head, and then it came out, and it didn't come out the way I wanted it to.
Nietzsche. That's a psychologist, philosopher. I don't even know. But I think trying to meet the needs of people that are out there looking for connection. And to be clear, I don't want to just create online connections, though I think that there is a place for that. I've built connections over the internet over the years that have been, I think, beneficial. But hopefully we can share things that help people to branch out and try things on their own. I mean, even for us, as we've watched other people's content, it's kind of spurred us to go, oh, maybe we could try that. I know for me, a lot of times that gives me confidence to want to try something as I see other people engage in those same activities or adventures, and it makes me want to attempt the same thing, right? Or, as we are able to show some of our lifestyle as far as the relationships that we have with different people or things like that, maybe to build those kinds of relationships. Yep. I think we've got some really close friends. We tend to live in, like we said earlier, in community quite a bit. We have people over for dinner almost every night of the week, like the same people over for dinner, basically every night of the week. And it's not something that we get tired of. And just those kinds of relationships and community, I think we hope that we can encourage and build that in other people, because it's been beneficial for us. Okay, we'll do one more question from here, because we're already, I think, 21 minutes in, and we said we're going to shoot for about 20 minutes for this first episode.
What challenges do we expect to face with this podcast?
You go first.
Oh, challenges. I am stubborn, and I am private, and I think the challenge would be for me to be free to be vulnerable. This is difficult. Obviously, I don't care about other people's lives because I don't go on YouTube and watch.
It's not that you don't care, but you're not seeking out this kind of content yourself.
Yeah.
Though once you start, though, you will keep watching.
I'm like, why?
No, I know, because you did this the other day. I showed you another family, a similar family vlog. It was the Dashleys on YouTube, and you just kept watching.
Yeah, but before I could have lived the rest of my life not ever knowing who the Dashleys were or other.
That's not their actual name.
Vloggers and podcasters you've sent my way.
Yeah.
But
for the record, that's not their real last name. That's the name of their channel.
Oh, okay.
I think. I mean, because they're Dallin and Ashley. That'd be kind of weird if they were Dallin and Ashley Dashley. I don't think that's it.
No. But yeah, I think it would be difficult for me in the long run. And even now, it's just putting
a little odd.
Yeah, it's a little odd putting myself out there and not wanting to share or feeling very apprehensive about sharing too much, saying too much. That's something that I am scared of, and I think that might hinder my ability to actually give some input, because sometimes I feel like maybe keeping my mouth shut would be better, but then also people are like, let us hear it.
Sure. But I think... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that would be a problem trying to move forward. And I don't know, maybe running out of content to talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe. I could be a future problem.
I think the biggest thing that I foresee being a potential issue is, number one, just trying to work together along the way. That's something that we're still learning how to do. And have the same vision. I think that's the big thing, is having the same vision and being in sync together.
We're both leaders, and we are both much in control of ourselves. But what we do struggle with
We tend to follow parallel lines that never
Yes.
intersect.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of both moving the general same direction, but not really working together in a lot of instances. And I think that's where we're trying to pull together in this instance and say, okay, let's be a team. Let's work together. Let's accomplish this together, not be working against each other or frustrating each other. So I think that would be my big thing that I think will be a struggle along the way. But hopefully we learn through it.
That would be like surface tension podcast stuff to talk about.
Yeah. I'll just flip on record on my voice memos app on my phone whenever we're arguing.
I've always been tempted to do that because then I could say, remember that one time you said this? And then you go, I don't remember that. I'm like, well, I have a recording.
Sure.
But then I don't. So,
yeah,
because that would be very dirty.
And I think the only other potential issue we might face is if nobody watches this and likes our videos and subscribes. So like and subscribe only like and subscribe if, wait. No, I did this backwards. I was planning this out. Do not click the like button. Do not subscribe unless, that's my thing. I think I'm going to try to make that our thing. So at the end of our videos, don't like and subscribe unless you're missing a finger. Yeah, that's today's thing. Everybody else, yep, you don't have to.
I love how you planned that all on your own.
But don't like and subscribe unless you're missing a finger. That's what we're going with for today. We'll think of something funnier for next time. I don't know where I came up with missing a finger. But I've got all of mine. All right, till the next time, thank you guys for joining us for podcast episode number 1. Hopefully it wasn't too terrible. We'll see how many cookies we have to send to Jensen's sisters. I think 2 of the 3. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Do you think all 3?
Yes. If I say cookie, I know they can hear me.
You can't give any hints.
No, they'll know.
Well, I guess you'll have to like and subscribe to find out if we end up having to send out cookies. But until the next one, episode 2 is coming up, and if that's out, go watch that. But otherwise, click wherever on the screen. I don't know how to do this yet, but click wherever to see the first vlog episode that we've been trying to get through today as well. Thanks for joining us, guys. You got to say something as a closer.
Thank you.
We'll work on that. All right, we're out.